Alright guys, welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be installing something that seems like it should have been installed a long time ago, and it really should have, but we're finally getting to it today, and it's going to make our 4-valve swap Mustang run that much better. Today we're going to be installing the O2 sensors on this 2000 Mustang GT with a 4-valve motor in it. So let's get into today's video. Alright, so I know you guys might be wondering, why the hell did we put the headers, the exhaust, the motor in, everything without these O2 sensors in? Reality is, I thought I had a good one on the passenger side, and I actually installed the motor with a brand new one on the driver's side. But what ended up happening is the motor fell when I was installing it, and it ended up breaking the driver's side one, and the right side ended up tearing some wires, and I tried to repair those, but they were still grounding out onto each other and blowing the fuse for that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to actually take off the exhaust manifold on the driver's side, and we will be just having to remove the exhaust pipe on the passenger side, because that's where the O2 sensor is, and we're going to be installing these O2 sensors, and hopefully that can get the car to run that much better. After that, we're going to be trying to figure out a MAF setup. Yeah, I know I had that funny style dryer intake hose as my cold air intake, but I want to find something that I can actually use some 3-inch pipe on, so that we can get a proper amount of air into this throttle body, into the motor, so it can breathe properly. And yeah, so hopefully by the end of today we will have these O2 sensors installed, and in the video after this one, that's going to be coming out a day after this one, we will be having the MAF setup permanent and fully installed, so that when we take it for a drive now, the computer will know how much air is going into the motor and can fuel it based on that information, and actually how much the readings from the oxygen sensors will also help to make the car run that much better. So let's get into it. We got to get this thing off the ground onto some old rims that I have, because I really don't trust jack stands, and we can get to removing that exhaust manifold and removing the exhaust pipe on the passenger side. Alright, so before we go any further, I just want to let you guys know, I think my past 2 videos have been sounding a lot different. I've been trying to get over a cold, so that's why I sound like that, but you guys just watch me pull this black garage bag off top of the motor, like I have it in between the hood and the motor itself. That's because we have some holes in the hood that let water settle on top of the motor, and I had an issue where a lot of water was sitting inside the intake, and it's a good thing I caught it before I started the motor. So now whenever I park it, I just put the top over it, and that's how we will make sure that the hood stays sealed until I paint the vehicle, because I'm going to be painting this thing soon as we get it running right, and soon as I get it sitting the way I want it to sit, drifting the way I want it to drift, and it's been tested and proven that it's going to last. Then we're going to be putting some paint on this thing and adding some very nice features to it. So vehicle is up in the air. Let's get to removing driver's side exhaust manifold and the exhaust pipe off of the passenger side. Alright, so the two exhaust pipes are out. This is the passenger side that actually has the O2 sensor in it, and this is the driver side. The driver side actually has the O2 sensor in the header. I don't know if you guys can see it, it's pretty far down there, but it has it in the header. And now we are going to attempt to swap those out, reinstall the exhaust, and start the motor to find out if this thing runs better with the O2 sensors installed. Alright, so just got done installing the O2 sensor that's actually in the header, and I have it plugged up right there, and you can see it. Let me try to zoom in on it. Right there, O2 sensor is installed. The one that's in the exhaust, just installed that one. Now we're going to reinstall the exhaust and put the car back on the ground, and then we're going to start it and see how it sounds. If it sounds any different with or without the O2 sensors. There's still no MAF installed, but like I said, we're going to try to figure out something in the next video about a MAF setup. Alright, both O2 sensors are hooked up, and we just got to drop this thing on the ground and we can fire it and hear how it sounds. Definitely I will hook up the digital dash so that we can tell if it's reading the O2 sensors or not, and I'm hoping this O2 sensor setup and trying to figure out some type of MAF setup is gonna make this car run that much better. Alright, everything is hooked up, digital dash is hooked up, battery, everything is ready to go. Now, the O2 sensor that I installed on the driver side, for some reason it's blowing a fuse, because I turned the power on and you would constantly hear poof, like one fuse would blow. And that O2 sensor has an internal short in her wiring, so probably I'm gonna have to remove that entire header and install a different O2 sensor or a new one, and hopefully that one is good and it causes us no harm. But for right now, we have the one O2 sensor running off of the passenger side bank, and we're just gonna start it up and see what it does.
Caution, icing conditions.
Sounds pretty good. So yeah, the O2 sensor on this side has a short internally that's blowing the fuse, so I'm gonna have to pull that header off and change that O2 sensor again. Definitely these were not brand new O2 sensor, these were used O2 sensors, so that doesn't come as a surprise that one of them was bad, but at least one is good, and the car seems to be running just a little bit better with that one O2 sensor installed. Oh, very good, very good. See, closed loop using O2 sensor for fuel mix. That is perfect. That is perfect. That's just what I'm looking for. So the computer is basically telling us that it's actually using the O2 sensor now to get a fuel mixture. That is perfect. Seeing a little bit of smoke come by. Let me see if the gasket on that driver's side isn't leaking. Yeah, it looks so. Actually, I don't feel any air at all. That just could be oil burning off from where my hand had the penetrating oil on it. But right now, as it stands, the computer is actually telling me that we are using the O2 sensor to do a closed loop. See? There it is, trying to get you guys a better look. Closed loop using one O2 sensor. So one O2 sensor is hooked up, one is not. That's basically what the computer is telling us. Alright, so now the computer is actually saying open loop due to due to system failure, right? And that's for the fuel system status. And before it went to that error code, it actually was saying that it was running off of one O2 sensor, and one O2 sensor has a fault in, you know, that's the O2 sensor that I had to unplug to stop blowing the fuse. So definitely got to get that next O2 sensor installed, and we should be good from there, because it was actually reading off of the one O2 sensor until it got this fuel system status failure. So to me it seems like the sensor status, or the fuel system status, that's what this is changing as the computer or as the motor gets warmer. It's at 167 now. Normal operating temps for these motors are 210, 215, and it's now saying closed loop using one O2 sensor, feedback fault. So there's no feedback coming from the driver's side exhaust manifold, so it's using all of the feedback that it's getting from the passenger side to actually tell the computer what's going on. So like I said, we both know now that we can use these O2 sensors. It's just that I have to swap out one more. Like I said, these are used O2 sensors that I was using, so definitely not the best thing to do, but I think brand new ones on the island was 168 bucks, and they're like 20 bucks on Amazon. So I just got a used set out of the junkyard, and one seems to be working very well. I have another one that I will swap out, but for right now we will run it off of just this one, because the entire header, the exhaust manifold, has to come off of the driver's side, and as you can tell we already have it extremely hot, so I'm not gonna take it off today. I'll probably leave that for tomorrow, but yeah, so far so good. It's actually running off of the one O2 sensor. Alright, so like I said, it wasn't ideal that we had just the passenger side O2 sensor working, but we definitely verified that the computer can actually run off of that one O2 sensor. Not that I'm going to. The motor is extremely hot right now. Sometime tomorrow I'm going to pull off the complete exhaust again and put in another O2 sensor. With the two O2 sensors installed, it should help the motor, but what I read on some forums is this motor just will never run right unless my MAF is hooked up. That is because, first of all, it's a swap motor. It's running off of, this is a 94 motor running off of a 2003 Mercury Marauder computer. So the computer is definitely looking for that MAF to tell how much air is actually being pulled into the motor so that it can fuel it properly. So even though we got that some slight bit of success today with the one O2 sensor being hooked up, tomorrow I'm going to install the other one. I mean, replace the broken one that's installed now, because I'm guessing wires are touching inside of that O2 sensor, why that's blowing a fuse. And we're gonna try to figure out some type of MAF setup on this car very soon. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next one.